This conference will now be recorded.
So if you hit that, his mic, no, go down, go to John's. What? Go to John's mic and hit,
Can John hear us?
no, because he's got his mic muted.
Well, no, that's just so we can't hear him.
I'm present.
Okay, you can hear us
And
just fine?
he can hear us, so we're good.
Yes, I'm present.
Okay, perfect.
All right, and Mr. Prather can't hear us yet?
Matt's on.
Sure. Earplugs to turn on.
Does that mean his speaker is off?
Yes.
Yes.
So can we?
Turn him with the phone.
I think so.
We need to let Armstrong know.
Oh, I think maybe he turned his speaker on now.
Yeah, well, one looks like it is, and the other one doesn't.
Can you hear us? Yes. You.
So Lisa, so they can interact.
Yeah.
Do we need to do anything with either Armstrong or Bill Prather?
Bill Prather will be part of the auto garages.
Yes,
They're just gonna have to turn their mics on when they're ready to talk.
okay.
There's nothing we can do from our end.
All right. We'll go ahead and call the Airport Advisory Commission meeting for February the 6th to order. And Lisa, if you go ahead and do a roll call, please.
Mike Espiritu? Tom Powell?
Here.
Matt McDonald? John Hitchcock?
John is present.
Bud Kunkel?
Present.
We have a quorum.
All right. Let's go ahead and look at the agenda, and what I'd like to do, I think, just in case John is unable to stay with us here, is move item number 16 and 17, the two action items on leases, move those forward as soon as we approve the minutes. Are there any other changes or additions to the agenda that anyone would like to see? If not, I'd entertain a motion to approve what I just stated about the agenda. So moved. And a second?
Second.
Been moved and seconded. All those in favor signify so by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, so let's go to item number 16. And David, we haven't introduced you yet. That's on down the list, I think.
Yes, I may.
But can you go ahead and lead us through those two action items?
Yeah, thank you, Bud. And good afternoon, everybody. First item I'd like to bring to your attention is the AVEX Aerospace request to enter a one-year lease for bunkers number 1130, 1131, 1137, and 1144. This lease would commence April the 1st, April Fool's Day, 2024 through March 31st, 2025. Apologize if you didn't get the draft lease. I think everyone's got it now. This is my first time, so be gentle. So the tenant agreed
for it. Say things like that.
Good. Financial consideration for bunkers 1130, 1131, and 1137. We'll pay the landlord rent, the amount of $10,980, payable in 12 installments of $908.40. And for 1144, the rent will be $4,844.88, payable in 12 monthly installments of $403.74. The city attorney reviewed this lease for us January 29th. As you guys know, these contract agreements require the approval followed by city council approval. Those start here. The staff recommends that you consider recommending the AVEX Aerospace request for a one-year lease.
And so my question, and Sean, I have some questions also. Is it typical that bunkers just lease for 1 year at a time? Okay. And these are both at $2.33 a square foot, based on the information that's in the lease. Is that typical for what we charge?
And they start at $2.25 a square foot, and then they accelerate by 3% of CPI, whichever is greater. And in this case, this is their second year entering into the lease, and it has gone up by 3%.
Okay. All right. Are there any things that the city has to do to the facilities to make them going to cost the city any more?
No, they are as is.
John, do you have any questions? John, do you have any questions on these leases at $2.33 square foot for the bunker?
Not specifically on the leases. My question is, what's their long-term intention? And is there anybody else that's expressed an interest in these bunkers?
Their intention is to continue on. They will lease again next year. From speaking to Tammy Mulcahy on behalf of AVEX, there are other tenants in those bunkers, additional bunkers at this time. And then I have had a request, well, David has had a request from Bravo 3 Holdings to engage in possibly another bunker if it can be ATF rated. So at this point, we're close to capacity on our bunkers.
Well, I'm merely raising the question. AVEX chose to leave. If there's someone else that would be interested that would enter into a longer-term lease for additional facilities, then we need to consider them more favorably than AVEX.
I understand that, and they are a month-to-month lease with them being a one-year lease. So that's readily, we can amend that easily. You can correct it easily when the tenant comes in, yeah.
But you've indicated that AVEX wants at least another year.
Yeah.
And if we don't have people lined up to take the bunkers, although that may happen.
Precisely.
Any other questions or comments on the AVEX leases, these 4 bunkers? If not, the chair will entertain a motion to approve the lease as presented. Moved.
So moved.
It's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor of approving the leases as presented signify so by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. This can be sent forward to legal. All right? That was pretty simple, David.
Okay. You ready for the next one?
Go ahead.
Okay. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we'd like to move on to the item of Air Methods. Air Methods, we're requesting that you consider recommending Air Methods LLC request for a one-year lease. Air Methods wants a one-year lease for land that we use for positioning a mobile home for staffing, for staff to stay at for 1 year, commencing February 1st, 2024, ending January 31st, 2025. As financial consideration, they'll pay the amount of $4,241.70 per year, payable in 12 easy monthly installments of $353.48. City attorney has reviewed this on 26th of January, and we would recommend that you consider recommending the Air Methods Air Methods request for a 1-year lease.
Chair, just explain the location of
So it is located right behind, was it 1531? 1531, which is hangar, and it is a triangular shaped piece of land between that and the port farm. And you have a double wide mobile home on there, and it's a company that does air medevac, and they base their folks. They use the double wide base for everyone. It's on the land side. Yes, on the land side of the fence.
the double wide is already in place.
It's in place.
Everybody's specs for
Yeah.
what is required by P and Z. And we know that how?
It hasn't been it's been there for years. I mean, if you'd like us to take it back to reevaluation, P and Z.
No, I don't want to do that. I'm just asking the question.
As far as I know, it's been there since I started in 2021.
Okay. So there shouldn't be any problems with the building and where it's located and how it's physically situated.
Correct.
All right, Sean, do you have any questions? Yes, sir. John, do you have any questions?
No, sir.
All right, Chair will entertain a motion to approve the lease as presented. Been moved, do I hear a second?
Second.
Been moved and seconded. If there are no comments or questions, we'll proceed to vote. All those in favor of the lease as presented, signify so by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. So the lease for Air Methods can be sent forward to. Okay, we've got our action items out of the way. The minutes are attached to the agenda. And let's take a minute to look at those. John, did you receive minutes from your package?
I did, sir.
All right. Any corrections or additions to the minutes as presented? I hear there are no corrections or additions. Chair will entertain a motion to approve the minutes of the Tuesday, November 7th meeting. I can't believe it's been that long since we've had a meeting. Thanks for saving me. All those in favor of approval of the minutes, signify so by saying aye. Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Minutes are approved. All right. Let's move forward to item number 5, Jennifer. And now we get to introduce David.
Well, I'd like to introduce our new property contracts coordinator, David Fitz.
I really like when we have loud airplane operations, right? It's fantastic. Yeah, it reminds us of part of why we do what we do here. I'm very pleased to be a part of the team here at the Roswell Air Center. My name's David Skeen. I have a pretty diverse background. I've been in retail, property management, real estate, and now airport contract coordination. So
These are really easy.
I know. But anyways, I'm very grateful to be here. I look forward to helping the team to continuously improve the state of our air center. It's important to our community. I grew up here. I'm from here. And like the success of our air center has a lot to do with the success and growth of our city. And I believe that, and I'm glad to be able to be a small part of that.
Just so we all know, which high school did you go to?
I went to Goddard High School.
Okay, that's too bad. Any questions for David? David, we're glad you're here also. I've had the opportunity to work with David on a couple different things. And not only has he shown that he's knowledgeable, he asks good questions. And so I think we all appreciate that. And David, good job on the first two leases.
Thank you.
All right. Jennifer, go ahead.
Okay, I'm gonna look at the board today because I didn't take notes. Passenger boardings for the month. And what month are we doing, Lisa?
That would be October, November, and December.
Okay, I gotta look back. It's been a while since we've had a meeting. And so, yeah, our totals, October 36.93. November, we increased to 34.91, and December, we decreased back to 34.86.
So November and
So-
December really are pretty similar.
Yes, they are. Okay.
And that doesn't look to be significantly different
From a
from
year
prior
ago.
months.
Right.
Okay.
Been consistent for the months. Last year we had higher. The light gray that you can see up there, that's from last year. Last year's numbers. Yeah, Yeah, that's when we had the Phoenix.
All right.
And airport operations,
Same month.
so yeah, 1792, 1601, 1282. We are down in all 3 months from prior year.
And is that pack boarding they're looking at?
No, this is the operations on the airfield.
So just-
These are traffic.
Yeah. Landings and takeoffs, is that what an operation?
On the airfield.
All right. And that, before we leave there, how much will that change with the Navy here?
Significantly.
Back up to
Because
those numbers on
even
that.
if they're just doing touch and goes.
Yeah,
That
significantly.
Okay.
So,
Okay. All right.
okay, aircraft parking, we did go out and do a inventory of what we have out there last month. So we are bringing those numbers together, but we are looking at 232, 237, and 225 aircraft for the month of December. AirSale is bringing in quite a number of aircraft, and
They're not reflected yet.
we've
In
had a
January.
few. We've had a few that have come in already, but not the majority of them.
And quite a number means 100.
Yes, we project to have 135 aircraft, additional aircraft on there.
Okay.
These are all.
They're all wide bodies.
Parking spots.
And we're doing that so that it hopefully doesn't impact raw.
We definitely are. That's why Jennifer's been working together.
Okay.
And if I need to bring it back, we will, and we'll discuss some areas that we feel like probably need to be used
Okay.
temporarily while those get
even if we've got temporary parking, is that gonna have an impact on what the air center has to do to either clear space or support underneath the wheels of the aircraft, or is there gonna be any additional cost to the air center to do that?
There will not be a cost to the air center. We have discussed that. We have more aircraft now going on the scrap pad, so we're able to push some more aircraft that way, which will free up some more space on the DOT to put some. We have talked about using the metal mats for those aircraft. That's probably going to be a last resort. They don't sit well. From prior experience, they don't sit well out on those mats.
Is that just on top of
Just
untamped ground, just?
Yeah.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
So no concrete underneath that or anything? Okay.
Okay, our revenues. I did ask Janie for a 6-month report. So our revenues are $4,256,573. Our expenses are $4,259,891 for a loss of $3,318.56.
I didn't write fast enough.
You only get it once.
You didn't get that?
Yeah, 3,300, yeah. So in those, we have 2 million out for projects. That'll be POs that are already out for projects such as the water line, the strategic plan, the lighting, BLM. We also have 2.3 million out for roofs and hail damage, and 1.26 million out for insurance. That's the reimbursable insurance on the properties. So
So the 3,000.
That's
A question?
Go ahead, John.
Can you tell us what the insurance bill was in '23 and what it was in 2024, please?
Jenna, can you answer this?
I only have it broken up by property, not total. If you give me 1 second.
No, I want to know what the total was, please.
One moment.
While she's looking that up, John, we'll get back to you. Do you have any other questions then on income expenses?
Well, the problem is the go-to meeting, the slides are not advancing. It's still stuck on welcome to the Airport Advisory Commission. My bank meeting on Teams worked perfectly. Now it just got advanced. So it's difficult to ask questions when I can't see the graphs.
We do anticipate some of this, some revenue coming back in from projects that we have out. And we're working really hard to get the contractors finished on roofing and hail damage. Some of that revenue back in. And the insurance is just still to the tenants, so.
Yeah, we had 60 days for that.
We'll probably be hearing about it. We'll be direct.
Heather, can you confirm your number for the billing for this year?
Oh, 14269.
Okay. Mine's rounded, or yours is rounded, mine is not. Commissioner Hitchcock,
Yes, ma'am.
fiscal year 24, the number is 1.269 million for the airport properties. In fiscal year 23, The number was $309,272.93.
And did you apportion that based on square footage?
Yes, it is based on square footage for each building.
That's a fourfold increase?
Yes, sir.
Any hopes that that may come down next year?
Mr. Chair, Mr. Hitchcock, we would certainly like that number to come down. This is Chad Cole. So walking in the door as city manager, that was one of the first things I was approached by Municipal League and AJ 40 was the extensive amount of claims and their dollar value coming out of the airport. It's a concern to them. It's raising essentially the entire state's rates, but in particular ours. So they prefaced that to me early on and often, and essentially warned me that these rates are going to be coming up. We believe they could come down, and they have communicated as much, but our claim amount.
Well, I certainly realize the problem or the cost of the materials for repairs is no different than repairing an automobile today versus a year or two ago. So thank you.
Yes, sir.
Since we've got the city manager here, a fourfold increase though, just based on my limited experience out in the real world, that's still an extremely high increase. Um, is this a state, you're saying this is a statewide insurance carrier?
That's part of the pool of state-owned municipalities that participated in
Right.
the insurance. Yes. Part of our issue is, as you know, we've got aging facilities. Necessarily, but today we certainly have been for decades. That's a part of the issue. Every time we have a roof, it seems around $2 million. So that's a part of the issue. I think we're kind of hitting a wave effect in the prior 2 years with those insurance claims. We need to address it. We certainly need to address the roofing projects. That's going to help us. That can only help us.
Then all of the problems that we've had been weather related, have they not?
Yes, flood, wind, and hail.
So what we're gonna pay, certainly not what we're paying. Nobody else in the state has had issues with this. It seems strange that Lazarus.
To some degree, I think there has been certainly they count into the cash reserve.
Right.
Last night, I spoke to this, they were saying the airport over the last half a decade. I mean, 300,000 for last big bill, they had 2.5 million. That's why we're
the tenants would love it.
Try to call.
There's nothing can be done about it. It's just really. All right, Any other comments or questions, especially
But I'm not sure.
all right. Um, So Jennifer, let's go to item number F.
Okay, that's the BLM taxi lane, and somebody from Armstrong is online. It's going pretty good, guys. I'm just gonna have a short.
Or do you want to?
Can we mute John for just? There you go.
Here.
There we go.
Okay.
And I think I saw that, Thomas.
Well, he's
Yeah.
doing the master plan. There was somebody named Mike, but he's not.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, staff. Thank you for having me today. Jennifer asked me to give a quick update on the BLM taxi lane project. So where we're at is we have completed the survey, and the geotechnical report was just issued to us on last Wednesday. So with that report, we now have the soil information that we need for both the taxi lane, and I'm gonna kind of slide to number 6, that slurry pit. They kind of go hand in hand. I apologize. So with that information, the survey and the geotech are completed. The survey's been handed to our designers. They're building the tin so that we can start the design process. The specifications have been, the first cut of the specs have been cut already by, we have an engineer working on the taxi lane as well, another one working on the slurry pit. So both of them have already made their first cut of specifications. The pavement section, now that we have the CBRs from the soil report, we can start the design process of the asphalt or the concrete pavement section. And we've been working with the BLM, Justin, on the aircraft that will be anticipated on utilizing that area. So we're going to use that information from the BLM and put it into the FAA far field pavement design software. The structural engineer has been engaged. We'll be needing him for the basically the 2 culverts that will be bridged through the drainage areas for the taxi lane. So we just gave them the geotechnical report, so they can start. They're going to start working on their soil dynamics. And what we're going to do is we'll be giving them the pavement section and the loading that will be required along with the aircraft. And then the last thing that's going on is we are analyzing everything that we have, and everything is moving forward. And both engineers on both projects they know we're shooting for about a month to get this done, middle of I'm going to say March, to get the design done. So for Jennifer and her staff's review, and that's where we're at for honestly both of those projects, to be quite honest with you.
So if design is completed in mid-March, obviously we've got fire season. It's going to start sometime April or May. There's no way that any of this is going to get completed prior to fire season. So do we have to wait for construction basically until next September, or this September, October?
Yes, sir. Probably that's probably accurate.
Okay.
We still have to go out to bid. And
Yeah, there's a advertisement. Yes, ma'am. Advertising for probably about a month. Give all the contractors ample time. Open the bids in April, and then obviously we go through the awarding process. May, that takes get all the bonds secured and everything to the contractor and approved through the city.
So hopefully we can have new construction in place for BLM by next year's fire season.
Oh, absolutely. Yes, sir.
And we're anticipating this to be 90-day construction period, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
For both projects.
that was mainly for the taxi
Taxi
lane, but they are going to work hand in hand on both of them together.
Yeah, it's the economics of it. If you bid them together and we construct them together, we get better prices.
Yep.
All right, Sean, do you have any questions? John, do you have any questions?
No, it's just unfortunate that it can't be ready for this fire season, but too much to be done.
I understand that.
Thank you, Mike.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Hitchcock.
All right, I understand that Mike Espiritu's joined the meeting. Is that correct?
No.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, he said yes.
Is he color one? Oh, maybe he's color
Are you-
one.
Mike, can you say something?
Maybe not. Okay, we'll move forward then. Jennifer, item number 2.
ADB lighting project. We have Jay DuPont here with ADB. This is his second trip in, and so I asked him to give you an update on what he's learned of the 2 weeks he was here last month.
Go ahead.
So a lot of your infrastructure here is in really bad shape. There's a lot of stuff that was stuff from the military that's direct burial, and you're gonna do. What we're trying to do is track out where things are going, figure out the best way to get a lot of your direct burial cable out of that back into a conduit system that already exists, or lay out small areas to fix that. Sure.
John, can you mute again, please?
I
Mr.
was
Chairman, this is
muted.
Mike, I'm online now.
Okay. We got a bunch of background noise from you, I guess, Mike.
I'm gonna mute my side.
Okay, thank you. Sorry about that.
No worries.
Go ahead,
No worries.
Jay.
So, knowing that we've also got the vault project being looked into for design and whatnot, we started looking at our tie points for the new vault and everything coming out of that to minimize the amount of direct burial also that's already there, leaving the vaults, getting you to a point of where you've got a single source vault for maintenance, ease of operation, and also to enhance your field, because right now one side of your field is not covered by a generator. You've got the regulators that are operating, but if you lose commercial power, you're not having the ability to use 1735 or Alpha Taxiway from that side, or not Alpha, sorry, Charlie. So with the new vault design, bringing it to one building, cover it by one generator, one SES, all this equipment will be in one location. Then we can branch it out from there. We're designing to add for future as well, a little bit of extra room in there. So if you have any expansions or we need to change some stuff, there's still room going to be in the new vault for that stuff to be able to be taken care of. So what we're trying to do is enhance the field itself. Get out there, fix the infrastructure as best we can. We're starting on Bravo right now because Bravo is your main taxiway that they're utilizing all the time. So we're starting right at the vault, and we're working our way through that, trying to identify where everything goes, because right now it's hard to say where it's going. So we're trying to identify the locations that it's at and how to, like I said, get it back into a conduit system and maintainable. Because right now, any of the stuff that's direct buried, you're just gonna have to start digging to fix it. So if we can get into a conduit system and isolate those areas and get them fixed the way they need to be, that's what we're trying to get back to. All the circuits here, with the exception of 1735, the cable readings are basically in poor or failed condition. So we're trying to get that going right now. I've got stuff in for the distance to go markers on 321 so that we can get those upgraded to an LED condition and replace the faces, because those are in extremely poor condition. They're all cracked through the faces and whatnot. I came out in December of, what was that, 22? 22 was. And I did a survey of all the signage as well. So we'll start adding, every time we do something to the signage, we'll keep a log of all that stuff, keep track of everything we do. I'm working with our company right now to put our program together that I can map everywhere we're changing the cabling, replacing the cabling, so we can also track how that's handling and working, as far as maintaining it overall for generations, hopefully.
Is all the cabling and conduit then, is that going to go back into the ground in approximately the same location where the original stuff is, or?
Basically what will happen is the stuff that's in the dirt right now that is direct burial, we're trying to get that into a conduit system. So then that will stay in that conduit system throughout the lighting. Most of it jumps light to light. And what they did is on either end of it, instead of running 2 wires through and taking care of the lights, they run one down, jump the other one back out, put it in the dirt somewhere, and go to another set of lights. So we're trying to come up with ways to reconfigure it where we put, instead of just 1 wire through there, we put 2 and feed that loop together as one setup.
So the existing wiring that's in the dirt isn't in good shape. We're gonna put that in the conduit now?
Yes, we're gonna try.
That makes it in better shape?
Yes, you're gonna get rid of that completely. We're not gonna use that wire is gonna probably get cut loose and left in the dirt and put new in.
Okay.
We're replacing. We're not using. No. I'm not gonna pull up your old stuff and put it in. No. No, and it wouldn't have made sense to me either. If I'm sorry if I came across that way, but no. We're gonna try and find ways to isolate anything that's in the dirt, re-pull it into the conduit bank system, fix everything that's in there now that's not correct as it is, and rewire it that way.
So the old stuff stays in the dirt. We might have to-
Correct. Yes.
That's what I was trying.
Yes. No, it's difficult because of the way they routed everything. So we're trying to do areas that we can, and then we're going to assess how we can do spots with the least amount of, cutting a chunk from one light to another and putting a piece of pipe in there to correct the system in general. We've got a lot of possibilities, but we're we're starting at the vault with Bravo and working down one side and just kind of going to work our way around.
Just so I understand, the single vault mechanism that everything feeds off of, that's typical for all airports?
It's typical for an airport of this size, yes.
Okay.
And it depends on what you're doing. When you do this, the overall cost to maintain and install is going to go down because you will only be doing one control system, one set of regulators in there, one generator, one service entrance section. So you'll have only one set of bills basically coming for that building itself. Instead of having, the service at this building and a service at this building, this one doesn't even have a generator. So you'd be putting another generator at that one to try and keep that segment going if something were to happen. All those things add up. So if you just take one building, some places, depending on size, right now you're running, let's see, you got 3, 4, 5, 6 operational, but one of the circuits needs to be split somewhere along the lines. They combined 2 circuits and it's got the wiring really messed up out there. So we figured out how to split the 2. And then with the new vault, we'll basically get 2 new home runs going to those 2 spots, figured that out already. But if you go to for your size, 1 vault is typical. My background, I've been in aviation for about 36 years now. I was a manager for Phoenix's system for 25 years over the electrical systems. And there I had 3 lighting vaults, but we separated it for a safety issue because they didn't want us to shut different things off. So we had each runway and taxiway complex was its own. But I also had Deer Valley Airport, which was a 2 runway system, 1 vault. Goodyear was 1 vault on a 1 runway system.
Just a question. So the generator that's for the airport right now has enough capacity to
You'll be with a new setup. You more likely have to get another generator. It's only the generator you've got is only covering 321 and Bravo Taxiway. Your other building, which is their 1776 building, is not covered by any generator at all. So if you were to lose power, bad storm or whatnot, and your winds were prevailing the opposite direction, and you lost it, you wouldn't have that runway to be able to be used.
just for a project that's going on.
Sure.
Right here, we've been 18 months waiting for a generator.
So thinking of that, there's several things with the vault project that would need to be looked at as an early procurement. Regulators, control system, generators, those type of things are early procurement. The cans, the conduit, the block, general electrical stuff on the inside, that's normal, that goes that way. But if you're looking at a short-term duration of like 90 days for construction or something like that, we would probably need to be looking at an early procurement package, and we need to build that with the engineers as we go through it and say, look, we know these are going to take a long time. Once everything's approved right off the bat, this package needs to go out for procurement. That way you get that going. Done it several times in many different projects that I've worked on, and the FAA is good with a lot of that too, to do an early procurement package just because of long-term items.
Jennifer, remind me, how are we paying for all this?
We do have an FAA grant.
And that-
For
and
construction,
that's-
we have bill, we have 2 million in bill right now.
Okay. But that probably doesn't include anything for an additional generator, does
The generator should be inclusive to the bill, should have had at least one inclusive anyway, because it was talking about 1-for-1. That generator won't need to be upsized very much to cover the other regulator sets. Your circuits aren't that heavily loaded, but you'll have to probably increase it a little bit, but not much.
Go ahead.
So then Commissioner Espiritu is asking, will this project allow for any expansion opportunity?
Yes, we're building it in. The building itself right now, with the talk what we've had with Armstrong so far has been, it's going to be 10 regulator positions in there. Right now, you only have 7 operational that you need for the airport. So 2 of those, there'll be 9 positions filled, 2 as spares just in case. So that with this, right now, your situation is if you lose the regulator, you can't swap it over. So what we're trying to get you to is if the regulator itself, all the electronics or whatnot has an issue there, you got a spare. You swap it over real quick. You're running within 5 minutes. And there are ways to do it with a control system that nobody has a clue. Basically, you just do the swap. The tower controllers don't know. All they do is they ask for Charlie to be on. Charlie comes on. Doesn't matter if it's this regulator or this one over here. We can do that all built in. So yeah, we're looking for future on that. So we'll have at least 3 total positions for future expansion.
Total reconstruction time on this is a year.
Mike, are you still on?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
I didn't hear the question. I couldn't hear.
Total reconstruction time for the lighting.
For the vault.
I'm still on. Sorry about that.
I think we were looking at like 90 days for the actual construction of the structure itself, along with the foundation and everything, and then of course all the regulators and everything that goes inside of it.
That's the long term.
It was 90.
That's the long term.
So this will be hopefully done by this summer.
Well,
You're not even going to, well, the engineering is going on at this point. That's what we're starting with Armstrong. And then to hit FAA's construction and bid cycle would be October, I believe.
We have to have, we'll be working with them on since it's the bill money, we have a little time, but yes, we'll get that thing designed. Once we get the PO from the city, we can go ahead and start on the design process.
Okay. Everything takes too long.
Yes.
Done yesterday, but we're working on it now.
Okay, any other comments, Jay?
Just we'll be here, throughout the course of this year to assist as much as we can to help get everything, try and get your infrastructure back up to where it needs to be. And then the vault will be basically another piece of that we'll tie all that stuff in as we go.
Any comments or questions? Any comments or questions from the 2 commissioners that are online?
None here.
None for Mike.
All right. Okay, unless anyone has anything else, Jennifer, let's move to where we are in the strategic plan.
Our second stakeholder meeting will be held on February the 20th. At that time, we'll be meeting with the consultant to discuss mission and vision from 2 of the 3 stakeholder groups.
Okay. And that's approximately 15 or 16 people, isn't it?
Correct.
Okay. As we get closer to that, as folks will forget.
And we don't have this on the agenda, but now it's on. I didn't realize it till now.
John, could you mute again, please?
I want to make a comment about the strategic plan when you're ready.
Okay.
Okay.
Go ahead. You just muted him, I guess, Lisa.
I didn't touch him.
No.
I had mentioned this to Jennifer, that to set a meeting without asking for availability is a little inappropriate. Both the mayor and I will be in a meeting that morning and unable to attend. So in the future, I wish Jennifer could circulate or convince Mead and Hunt to be a little more considerate of our schedules in setting a meeting. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, if I may, so Jennifer, we talked briefly about, is there a possibility of rescheduling that?
The consultant is not available on the 22nd, on the 21st. And that would be Jeff, the AMCG, who's actually doing the, you have to do it, but the consultant is not. Right, ask for the 21st. I could go back to him and see if he is available anytime that week.
And again, it may be too late for this meeting on the 20th, but they work for us, not the other way around. For future meetings, have them be a little more considerate of everyone involved.
So to John's question about that, the only way that I know you can do that with as many people as we have involved is to provide times and dates over a 2 to 3 day period. And
Right,
just
there's
see,
quite a number of people.
yeah,
You're
and
not going
just,
to be able to
and
accommodate
just see
everybody.
where we get the most
That I
hits
understand.
on a specific date. That's all you can do. And if some people can't be on there, they have a conflict.
So there will be a conflict on the third Tuesday of each month. So we just know the third Tuesday of each month, there would not be.
So yeah, if we've got a date later that week, we just need to publish that and see who all can be here and run with it. And if everybody can attend, then that's great. If they can't, they can't.
Got it.
All
Okay.
right, thank you. Okay, let's go to master plan then. It isn't on the agenda. We'll add that.
Yeah,
Matt,
thanks.
Go ahead.
Yep. Good to see everyone. Just a quick update on the master plan. We received comments from the New Mexico State Aviation team at the beginning of this year on the first working paper. So we revised those first 3 chapters. Those are ready to go. And then we also have finished the next portion, the working paper 2, which is facility requirements. We're going to be sending that to the TAC here next week for your review. And then in the meantime, we've been working forward on the development alternatives, which once those are completed, that's when we'll schedule our next TAC meeting to run through all of the layout options in that. That's where we're at. Any questions? We have.
Again, master plan completion is towards the tail end of this year.
Yeah, it depends on the review times, mainly. You know, we've been working ahead on the layout, so we've gotten a pretty good start on that. We're looking at probably that third or the second TAC meeting sometime in maybe May or June timeframe, if not earlier, depending again on the review times. And then the report itself will be ready to go before the end of this year for sure. At the end of it, we have to submit the ALP to FAA for them to review. And that goes through 7 or 8 lines of business in the FAA internally. And that can take anywhere from 1 to 4 months. But the report itself would be ready before then.
Okay. Any other questions on master plan issues? All right, Jennifer, let's move on to item number 1 under state projects.
The Southeast Waterline Infrastructure Phase 2, that is going through our city engineering department. HDR is the contractor on that. And they anticipate it being completed at the end of June. They are looking at also putting in the utilities. I think he's talked to Excel and telephone. They will just come in off of the back side of the airport. They have some utilities back there. Gas company is asking questions about how much usage, so they can give us an exact kind of an estimate for the piping in, so we can start developing.
And even with Lewis being gone from the city, that's not gonna slow us down on this?
No, James is taking over on that project.
Okay.
James McCormick.
All right. Just a question, Mr. Chair. So do we know when this is the $5 million, isn't it,
There's 2.1 million now.
remaining?
Yeah.
Do you know when that reverts?
The end of June, so as I understand, the county has asked, or has someone asking an extension.
Reauthorization.
Yeah.
Mr. Chair, the key on that are well-defined estimates that are backed up. So that is going through state economic development. Mr. Roper requested that specifically. So we'll make sure we have a solid contact with HDR to make sure.
Any other questions or comments on the water line infrastructure project? Okay, let's talk about the terminal improvements grant and what we would like to do for terminal improvements.
Well, we've been throwing that around as well. So we have thought about resurfacing the parking lot, replacing all the exterior doors, carpeting the upstairs, restroom renovations, the emergency generator, maybe stucco the terminal, re-stucco that, and replacing all the glass windows to tempered. These are probably not safe any longer, should they come out. That would take a good number of
And
that grant.
remind me how much?
2 million.
2 million. And do we have cost estimates on these various items?
I do not. As of yet, I do not.
Well, that's since we've got 2 people online and 2 people here. Let's at least get some sort of consensus on a priority for some of the things that 2 million is not going to cover all this. I mean, I can't imagine that it would.
No.
And so,
ask for a list, we give you a list.
I know. But now let's look at some sort of priority on this.
Put some staff input appropriate or not at this time.
That's fine with me. The staff has some input.
Just 2 items, just
Okay.
because I take care of having to get the bathrooms fixed, and it generally happens 3-4 times a month in the main terminal area. So that's why that actually made the list. And then the other item is the windows would definitely affect the efficiency of the HVAC systems in the building. Currently, you can start at my office 62 degrees in the morning, and by noon it's 78 degrees in there, and that's with an air conditioning system. Trying to keep up with the amount of heat and coolness that come through these glass windows. I'm sure we've experienced it in here a few times as well.
And you're saying that the windows themselves, I mean, I can see from right here, those are double pane windows.
There's no reflectivity on the outside of them, so they just absorb all of the heat through. I mean, it's doubly compounded because we have dark blinds as well that just suck the heat right into our rooms.
Well, replacing those big windows that's really expensive.
It is. I just wanted to explain why we put it on there, that there was some other things that it will improve on the building as far as cost.
And that's the first that I've seen the windows on here.
Sure.
I guess I can't imagine there isn't a mechanism to reflect some heat off of those windows without replacing windows, but I don't know that for sure.
I think it would be wise to assess all of the seals on the windows and then put some sort of a film on the outside that would help that situation. I'm not suggesting that we would have to replace them, but
Okay.
there might be, it is a significant issue that,
Because for a double pane window that size is specially made, I don't have a clue, but that may be $8,000 or $10,000 per window.
what did we pay to fix the one? I forget. I think the one in the back that was cracked was about $3,500, but that was that a repair? Did we replace the whole thing? Yeah.
So,
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Spiritu, go ahead.
Apologize. It's kind of hard to hear. I would like to make note that we need to consider that the terminal is really designed for not only the workers, but for the people that pass in and out of that building. The restrooms are really bad shape, probably the worst that I've seen in any building. The entry point into the security area is horribly small. And as we've all witnessed that's traveled in and out of this in and out of the terminal, that's a real choke point. And I think we need to take a look at what can we do to make the travel experience a little more better for the travelers versus other stuff. Now, not saying the windows don't need treatment. I think that's certainly a good point, but it would be helpful if we had some prices, some things to think about in that regard, since we only have $2 million to spend.
I agree. So let's do this. Jennifer, identify as best you can cost estimates for the various things that the staff would like to get done. And then also give us your opinion of criteria for what should be at the top of the list.
Okay.
And go from the top to the bottom of the list for these things. And then with that information, next meeting we can make some decisions on things. Sean, go ahead.
Yeah, so I just had a question on the restroom renovations. She left. On the restroom renovations, is that sewer line replacement also, or is it just the fixtures in the restroom?
Most of our repairs have been on the, like the urinals, the tanks, the valves or whatever. But most people don't know this, but we have a really pretty picture on the wall between the two bathrooms, and that's a big hole that's got in, so we can get in to get access to the plumbing. I would say that should be evaluated as far as the further expenses on that. Aesthetically, you can fix it, but if the main problems are the main problems, it'll just get worse. So.
Well, it sounds like the bathrooms need to be towards the top of the list.
I agree.
The windows, as long as we're not having to spend $10,000 per window pane to replace it, that may be something that we look at. I know that just looking around from a appearance standpoint, the carpet's pretty worn in a lot of areas, and the carpet squares can be, you can get pretty durable carpet squares and put down for things. I've complained about the parking lots for years. It's going to be expensive because it's large space, but it doesn't matter what so let's look at those things. Cost estimates. Mr. Hitchcock.
Mr. Chairman.
Yeah. Go ahead.
A quick question. Have all the air conditioning repairs that were needed been completed?
Yes, they have.
Thank you.
I have to say that might not be a bad one to have on here as well. Get a list for facility maintenance as to how the age of these units.
I have that for you.
Okay, any other comments or questions on terminal improvements grant? And how long do we have to use that up, Jennifer?
I'm sorry.
How long do we have?
Till, that one was 2 years, so 25 we have, so like October
So the
25.
end of this year, or
25.
October 25?
October.
I bet we can spend the money fruitfully before then.
No, I could spend money, but we have lots of projects too.
Okay. So the next item, unless anyone has anything else, next item on the list is BLM Slurry Pit, which we really incorporated with the taxiway.
Correct.
Unless there's specific questions about that. All right, Jennifer, item number 7.
Okay, item number 7, because we didn't have any December, January, we went ahead and took it to legal to advertise. It is on the city council meeting Thursday evening. So we can go out and advertise for an air service consultant.
Thank you. Sure. Appreciate you coming.
Thank you, Jay. There you go.
All right.
Bye, Jay.
But now leave the bad stuff in the ground.
Yes, that's for sure.
So those 2 items are pretty much an update. Taxiway K went to finance, and it is also on the city council agenda. And that's for the design of the electric vault.
Okay, which we just heard about.
Yes.
Okay. All right, so we get finally to Mr. Bill Prather. Bill, sorry you had to wait and listen and go through all this, but we'll give you a chance to speak on behalf of what you'd like to do for us.
Okay, well, as you know, I'm Bill Prather. Can you hear me okay? What we are interested in doing is evaluating the wisdom of building a small set of 1-car garages directly across from the terminal where that vacant lot is, but where the crosswalk currently exists. Typically, we rent these to second homeowners and some corporate users. Excuse me. What we noticed, my son and I, is that there were a lot of out-of-state plates in your parking lot, and we wonder if some of those folks might be interested in renting a secure garage for their vehicle. They're typically 12 feet wide, 24 feet deep, have 1 single overhead light, and a duplex outlet for trickle charging. We have 62 of these at Denver International, 11 at Centennial, which is an airport on the south side of Denver, and 17 in the parking lot in Moab, Utah, and we're about to expand that project. Did that come across all right?
You did.
So we would like to talk to you folks about basic fundamental lease terms to a point where we feel comfortable about spending the money to really dig in, to evaluate the market, develop the cost estimate, and to see if this makes sense for you and makes sense for us.
I think with what you're offering to do, it's probably a better product than the first folks that wanted to provide this service, because you're going to put everything on concrete.
Yep.
The glitch in this may be how much space you actually take and what we can negotiate as far as cost to you on a annual or monthly basis to use that much space, and how that will fit into your business model, and you can still generate money out of it. So you're proposing that we have two buildings of 6 units each, one next to the FBO and one across the street from the terminal. And that would be the initial start of it. If we can reach agreement on a ground lease for those two buildings.
Correct. We had a good meeting with the FBO manager. I think his name was Adam. And it looked like there was a decent site basically right across the street, from the FBO or real close. Our primary interest would be the terminal. Typical users, the commercial air service is important. Well, not, so is the general aviation aspect also. We don't see this starting as a large project. Like we mentioned, 6 units, maybe 8 units. We would like the ability to do some pre-marketing to see if we can generate early interest. As you can imagine, anything like this, a small project like that per unit tends to be more expensive. And we would want to get comfortable that, one, the cost makes sense given what the revenue projection would be. And we're not certain about that. So we would want to dive in and really get going on the due diligence of that to see if we can make sense out of it.
Well, we've got a young man here that's certainly willing to work with you on that. And I think I'd like to see you move forward. Do I have comments from any of the commissioners? John?
So what's the average rent per month to the consumer or the customer that's
Well, I'll tell you, it varies. Denver, we just hammer those guys. Those are rich doctors in New York that have a place in Vail. So we hit those guys for about $300 a month. And in Moab, it's a very different market, and it's like $165 to $175 a month. And that seems to be a reasonable balance. But still, it's not insignificant. We would want to see in Roswell, $165 to $170 to make this make sense. Typically a 1-year lease.
Any comments? Okay, you're saying 1-year lease to your customers.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Any comments from our two commissioners online?
I think, this is John, I think that's a great idea to proceed with investigating that makes financial sense. And it'd be great if David could assist him with that. And thank you, Bill.
You bet. That'd be great to have some help. And, it's a nice little, it's not a big deal, but it's a nice little amenity to some users of your airport.
And we may very well have enough corporate users here that need to have a vehicle for their folks coming in and out of the area.
Yeah.
Mike,
I'm sorry.
Mike, do you have any comments for?
I don't have any comments. I would suspect the lease with the city would have some type of reverter clause at some point. If they don't continue on at some point, that becomes a city asset or something of that nature. I think we've done that in other cases.
Yeah, we're used to that too. It's usually a full reversion.
Yeah, I think it'd be interesting to see what your due diligence comes up with as far as costs and those type of things.
Okay. Well, what's the right thing to do for us to circle back with Jenna and then meet David and kind of put together a little plan?
I think that's the plan, Bill, and I would encourage you to move forward over the next couple of weeks, and let's see if we can reach a conclusion within 30 to 60 days of whether or not this is something that we can put a lease together for you and move forward. If not, then we won't.
Yeah, exactly. That works for me. Let's see if we can make it happen in a reasonable time.
All right, 30 to 60 days. And David will work with you on that. Thank you.
All right, I will circle back then with you, Jenna, and we'll see if you introduce me to David, and we'll go from there. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
Bill, we appreciate you coming on and talking to us. Thank you.
You bet. Thank you. I'm not a technical wizard here. I'm going to look at how do I drop out of here.
Pull the plug, Bill.
I should know that. All right, thank you. I appreciate the time, and we'll look forward to working with you folks at the airport.
All right. Next item on the list.
Okay,
Mike,
bye-bye.
I didn't know that you would be on, but you're to update us on RAH, and since you're in Santa Fe and you're on, give us the good news.
Okay, so briefly, we met with the governor. The mayor and I met with the governor yesterday and discussed possibility of funding. Of course, there's no promises at this point. I'm waiting to testify currently with Senate Tax. Once they get out of session, they're still in session, so we'll see how that goes. It's on Senate Bill 199 for $10 million. The House Bill, companion bill, House Bill 245, testified to the committee on that a week or so ago, and it received a due pass, and it's headed to the House Finance Committee. I don't have a date on when that's going to be heard, but seems to have good support. But time will tell. But at this point, looks like the pathway forward is looking great with the legislative body.
All right, and we're still anticipating sometime in March a decision by the Reno Air Races.
The company, RAH still intends on. They intend on announcing the top 3 locations this week, and then they anticipate the final award after negotiations with those cities by the end of March. So that timeline is still in place.
Okay. All right, we'll look forward to their announcement by the end of this week. Anything else?
Looking forward to it.
Anything else, Mike, that you need to know about?
Nope, that's it.
All right, well, good luck in your presentation to the legislature.
Thank you.
All right, item number 11, Jennifer.
Well, we have 2 members, their term is expiring, and just going to say that the mayor is accepting applications for anyone who is interested in applying to be on the commission.
Okay.
So whose terms are expiring?
Chairman Kunko and John Hitchcock. And
it's not you.
Sean, is it me?
I was like, what? My time up already?
If we leave, Sean, by the way, you're chairman. Okay, item number 12, Jenna, 12 and 13.
Perfect. So I'm going to update. I spoke to Custom Construction and got an update. 2 of the buildings that were assigned to them for roofing have been completed in full. They're working to get a double bond, so taking 2 properties and being able to bond them together so they don't have to wait till one bond is released to get to the next job. So building 734, which is houses the Old Dog Brotherhood or the Badlands Saints roof, is going to be replaced. And then the other one will be the snow removal equipment building on the air side. That is the next 2 in his queue that are due to be completed. Then he will move to 1534 and 1535, which are both Aflight hangars. And he anticipates meeting the April 1st deadline for the insurance company. Allen Roofing was assigned 1081A and 1083A. 1081A, which was a very large job, about $550,000, is at 80 to 90% complete. They'll be done in the next week or 2 on that, and then moved right to 1083A. Following the completion of 1083A, 735, which is the Department of Transportation's training center building, will be next in queue. He's a little bit further behind, but will meet a May 1st deadline, and the insurance company is aware that that's going to happen. The concern with waiting until May 1st is getting our money reimbursed to us in this same fiscal year. So we continue to push to get them to be done by April 1st, but he has anticipated he may have a delay. The last part of that claim is the T hangars 119 and 120, and then hangar 85 for White Rock Construction. The 119 project has been mobilized already. He plans to start in the next 2 weeks once material arrives, and they will be replacing roofing and siding on 119. The tenants have been advised, obviously, there'll be some displacement for their aircrafts into our underutilized right now T hangars that are open to protect their assets. And then we've been assured by White Rock Construction that they will close the building up every day, whatever section they're working on, via tarp and or the actual material. They've assured us that they will not leave any tarp type tie downs or anything like that over a weekend. So they will have somebody on site the following day if they do have to utilize a tarp. They will move to 120 next, and then hangar 85, which is all of the lean-to roofs on the hangar, and then the doghouse end of the hangar as well. And that one will be completed. Again, he is saying by May 1st. It's taken us a while to get through the procurement process. Since it was more than roofs, they had to fall under the general services RFP, and so we got a little behind on that. The insurance company is aware of that as well. So in a nutshell, we are working very hard towards pursuing and getting everything done. The insurance knows that all of the properties are under contract. All of the properties have a PO in place, and state wage agreements and everything that we need to have. It's just a matter of moving the contractors along to get it done. So that is the hail claim. The wind claim from 2023. So moving on to, go ahead.
Completion on the hail claims here in end of June, maybe?
Building 610 will be completed within this fiscal year because it's already been under contract and has a PO in place. Hangar 84, hangar 1083, and hangar 85 are in negotiations with the adjuster and the contractor at this point. Their estimates did not line up, so they're working through those details right now to secure an agreeable price and agreeable situation. As soon as those come in, hangar 84 will take the priority because it has the most exposure. And then the target is to have that one done within the fiscal year of 24. But if the PO is not in place and the contractor can't get it done, I would anticipate we'll have to discuss with the team and the leadership how they want to handle putting that project on the books. Because we don't want to have a PO that's not going to be able to easily be carried over. So we'll have to work through how we want to do that. But that is the priority. I do not anticipate hangar 1083 or hangar 85 to be started on construction for until fiscal year 25. Those all are not on the docket of the insurance reimbursement. The roof claims and the 119, 120, and 85 from hail are all on the docket for needing to be completed within this fiscal year and get reimbursement within this fiscal year in order for us to get our depreciation reimbursed.
So we'll have 2 buildings finished in FY25. The remainder should be finished FY24.
Yes.
Okay. All right, let's go to wind claims then.
Those were the wind claims.
Okay. I was using those as hail claim.
Yep. 610, 84, 1083, and 85 are all under the wind claim.
Okay. Anything else or any questions from commissioners reference our hail and wind claims? Just too darn expensive. All right, David, you get to speak to us again. Vacant properties.
All right, everybody. We have some vacancies here. So I'll start at the top. T hangars 119-4.
We show that. Thank you.
And 120, number 6, and number 4 vacant.
Who spelled my name wrong?
Oh, bad cat.
I didn't put that.
In here.
Okay.
That's important to bring up.
If that's the worst thing that happened.
Way to go, David. You didn't catch my boo-boo.
Go ahead, David.
Building 93 is vacant. There's been a lot of activity regarding the project we're working with there, including level 2
Phase 1 and phase 2.
Yeah, phase 2 environmental happened this last month. So
That's the blue building, just as you come off of Hobson Road.
Yes.
I happened to talk to our Red Mountain Arsenal guy today, and just to update people and update the city. He's got 2 contracts signed for smaller amounts that'd be like 1-year projects, but a couple million rounds of ammunition. He's waiting on completion of the main one, which is to the Dutch government for the Ukraine, and that's like a 4-year contract. And so I know we're a long ways from doing that and getting staffed up and building bullets, but he expressed some interest. So David, I'd appreciate if you would contact him on building 93. I know we've got some interest, and that building may not be suitable for his purposes at all due to proximity to highways and everything else. But let's see if we can identify if it's something that's even thought about being used, because if these remaining large contracts come in, he'll have to have more space.
Sure, that'd be great.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
So 93, the EDC's been very involved with that building, with the project. So I would caution what we do, since that company, as the Air Center staff could tell you, they've spent a lot of money in getting us to this point. So I would be very reluctant to, unless they give us a firm or somewhat of a no, that we don't try to push it to RMA or anyone else at this point until we get something more definite. What I can do is try and get a letter of intent, but I really think that we have to be a little sensitive to the cost they've already incurred in trying to perform the due diligence to make a decision on that facility for this project. Thank you.
Before we execute, certainly Red Mountain needs to be in good standing.
Sure. And I'm not saying that Red Mountain doesn't even know if that building could be used by them. But it probably would be prudent on our part to let him know we've got interest in the building, buy another outfit. Would this meet your specs because of proximity to highways or whatever? Is it even feasible that you could utilize this building? And if we know that, that's just another thing that we know.
There are other buildings that would maybe suit his needs as well that aren't necessarily going to cause.
Why don't we do this?
I'll talk to
Go meeting, find out what some of his specifications are, because I know the building that he's in now, he looked across Arizona and in clear to Oklahoma, if I remember right, and identified this building that he's in now as meeting his specs. So go meeting to try to identify, and it may be that just off the cuff you can identify that building 93 won't work.
So,
okay. So go ahead then with.
Okay. So, building 1166, was vacant, but now is occupied by our friends at Trans Aero. So we're glad to have them on board here at the Air Center. Building 1231 down in that same neck of the woods remains vacant. Building 611, the old Department of Health building, we showed that building earlier this week to what was that next
Challenge. Is it
the youth challenge,
They did.
and there's also CYFD. So and then I'll be showing that building later this week to a local company looking to do a tech incubator. So I'll let you know how that goes.
That's a lot more space than they need, though, isn't it?
No.
The tech people.
We shall see.
Okay. All right.
We shall see. Let's see. 115, the north part is vacant. Air Sale has the south part. 732 and 733 also vacant. I showed 732 last week to some folks from ADS Aero Designs looking for some extra space. I have not gotten anywhere with them yet. Hangar 1081 remains vacant, and that might be one that could help RM Red Mountain maybe. 112 is vacant and going to be demolished at some point. That'll be fun. And number 82 also vacant, and 247. And those are our vacancies.
I didn't see 247.
247 is cut off, so my bad.
And the 112 is the Dock High warehouse that we moved everybody out of.
Yes.
Okay.
Had the mold.
And it still has the mold, right?
Yeah.
And so have we got everybody's stuff out of that building?
I've got confirmation from New Mex Plastics that what they've left behind, they intended to leave behind, and they'd had permission from Steve Christopher to leave it there.
Okay.
I had the veterinarian of
Cunningham.
Yep, he has some items still left in the building, but is trying to get it out. We have not gotten confirmation from him yet that he's completely out of the building, but he is working to get out. Air Sale is in the building still. They still pay rent on that building because they are using it for what they rented it for. So they're continuing to pay rent on that building.
So just storage?
Yep, just storage. But they are actively working to get it out because they understand that we are slated to have that abated. So the asbestos abatement will happen on the building this fiscal year, along with the pitched portion of the building will be removed. We didn't have enough money in the project that we budgeted to handle taking the entire building down. So we're going to have to go back for stage 2 for the non-pitched portion, but the complete abatement will be done per Mac, which is our city project manager. He's the one spearheading the project. And then it'll be a quick go, and we'll have the estimate in place to get that put into next year's budget if it gets approved.
When you say the pitched portion of the building, that means to me the roof.
That's correct. The pitched portion of the roof, not the flat. Yes, I'm sorry.
Okay. So we're gonna abate the
Entire building.
and take the roof off of it.
Correct. We only have to take the roof off of the pitched portion of the roof of the building. The roof pitch we have to take off. The flat one we don't. So it'll stay. The abatement on that side is more tiles and such.
And then when we find some more money, we're gonna knock it down.
The rest of it down, yes. What this will provide is a clear space and an opportunity for a build to suit if somebody wants to start replacing warehouse space there with individual warehouses instead of just not getting it taken care of.
So floor structure and dock high dirt that's under the floor structures gotta all be removed too.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Any other comments or questions on vacant properties out here? Anyone on the commission that's online on vacant property comments?
Nothing for me.
Nothing from
All right, very good. Okay, lease summary report. David?
Okay. Lisa, we hit the next, please. This is a lease summary report. So, let's start at the bottom with our expired leases, as that's kind of what I've been working on the most. Cavu Aerospace has 72 and 84 that we're working on their lease. 84 is going through some pretty extensive construction, which is holding that up a bit. Then we come to our Hangar 91, which nobody is currently covered under a lease in Hangar 91. I guess that's a long-standing issue, but those are all expired. New Mexico Department of Transportation, I have 2 leases out to them. We are essentially just waiting on them to sign a return. Kestrel is a T-hangar. They are way behind on their rent, and they want to renew, but they're going to have to get caught up on their rent because they're way behind.
So way behind.
3 months.
6 months?
90 days.
Okay, and I think we had a discussion here a couple of months ago. Once somebody's 60 days overdue on something.
It's not a demand notice, which
Okay.
is what we're doing.
All right.
Okay. The FAA, we did a lot of work with them this last month. On 1050, they required several inspections that we were able to get done for them and pass. They now have everything they need, and we're just waiting for them to send us back their signed leases for 1176B and 1050.
So we're being nice to the FAA, right?
We're gonna get, they're upgrading to $9 per square foot
So it's office space,
versus the 4 something that they're paying now.
and they're fine with that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Then Air Methods is before City Council. Pack Blue, just awaiting a signed lease from them. Aero Design is before City Council, and the Cavu teardown pad also before City Council. That said, we don't have a whole lot of expirations coming up soon, as you can see. I have 2 in the next 30 days, one of which is Bravo 3. And then the next batch really hits in May, which will be AvFlight, a couple of air sale properties, and those are the big ones. So, are there any questions on that? Did I cover what you need?
I think the Cavu stuff, that's been hanging around for 6 months or so already, at least. Is that right, Jenna?
Yeah, you have a meeting scheduled to meet with Brian, is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because we sure need to get Cavu tied up. And then if on all our private pilots that we've got in Hangar 91, even though they don't have leases, I'm assuming that they're all paying.
I'd like to speak to that, please.
Go ahead, John. John, your name's on the list. Go ahead.
When I last spoke to Hess last Thursday, I keep being told that the leases have been returned to Jenna, and she continues to say she's evaluating whether the requested repairs are going to exceed the value of the lease. So I don't appreciate being stated that we're not trying to follow up. We're waiting on the staff at the airport.
Okay. Jenna, do you have anything you'd like to say?
I've been working very succinctly with Jerry Whitaker. He's the spokesperson for the group. I have been awaiting some plumbing estimates from him. I have not received them yet. He does have one plumbing estimate taken care of. And I'm also waiting on 2 estimates, one from Custom Construction for the rubber seals for the hangars, and then the lubrication and maintenance of their hangar door. He assured me I'll have them by the end of the week. I was going to reach out to Jerry Whitaker again today to see if I could at least get the plumbing estimate that he does have in order for me to complete the evaluations of what repairs or what cost of repairs will be. I apologize. I've been out of the office. I was gone for 2 weeks in January, and then I came back obviously and was sick and was out of the office this week. But I assure you that this is on my plate. I have spoken to the city manager and the city attorney even today to make sure we can proceed with taking care of, or all parties be on the same page and get this taken care of.
If I'm summarizing here adequately, you need a couple of plumbing quotes and that we provide to you. So John, can you get Whitaker to get that accomplished?
I had somewhat a difficult time hearing, but from where I'm sitting, I would like to think that in good faith, the city's going to take care of these things that have been hanging for years and years, and that we go ahead and complete the lease. So the decision to wait has been the staff at the airport, not on the tenants.
Okay, so if airport staff can move forward, okay, without getting the plumbing repaired or replaced, is that a satisfactory thing to everybody concerned?
Yes.
Mr. Chair, we'd like to get those estimates on all of the issues at that hangar. And let's get the estimates so we know what they are. Whether we move on those is another matter entirely. But we'd like to understand what all attention that building. We understand it's been a long time in coming.
So why are the tenants getting this plumbing estimates?
It was a request from them. They wanted to use it as rent abatement, so the rent abatement policy requires 3 estimates. I understand that they're struggling to get 3 estimates. A lot of the plumbers don't want to touch the issue. According to Jerry Whitaker, only one of them came forward with the estimate. So my request to him now is, can you provide me with that estimate so I have a baseline, and the other items will they're fairly small to be able to get an answer for.
So are the plumbing issues something that, when you say rent abatement, are the tenants having to pay for the plumbing issues?
The former leases required them to do all the maintenance on electrical and plumbing and HVAC systems. But the building is extremely old. So we have asked them to bring all their concerns forward, and then we will go ahead and address the concerns based on understanding cost, and then building that either into the lease repayment or whatever we can come up with. But we have to have the amount of money it's going to cost before we can build any type of a pre-negotiated lease.
So based on the comments that our city manager just made, I would think that at a minimum, the city can get a plumbing expected cost.
Yeah.
Whether that's 3 plumbing companies that's provided that or not, and then at least we've got something.
That's why I said if we can get the one.
And then let's get back with Mr. Whitaker and see if we can't move forward on this.
Yes, sir.
Can we do that?
Yes.
Can that be done in the next 30 days?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. All right, David, what else? So CAVU and plumbing issues, we're gonna try to work on that stuff.
Yes, sir.
Happy
Okay.
as you,
I'll do the plumbing.
not what is me.
All right, any additional comments, Sean? Any additional comments from Mr. Hitchcock or Mr. Espiritu?
No, thank you.
All right. Okay, any comments from anyone in attendance at the meeting? We haven't heard anything from the attorney. That's usually good. Okay. We appreciate our city manager being here. Any additional comments from you?
No, sir, we appreciate this.
All right. And I appreciate the fact that our newest tenant is here today. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? And we've got our new city employee here, David. David did pretty well today, I thought.
Very excited.
All right. Okay, if there are no other comments or questions, I think that concludes where we are. Do I hear a motion to adjourn the meeting?
So moved.
And
Second.
Second, Hitchcock. All those in favor of adjournment signify so by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Meeting is adjourned. Thank you, Lisa. Okay, that was less than an hour and a half. No.